Vayelech. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the set time of the year of release, in the Feast of Sukkot. Deuteronomy 31, verse 10. In Vayelech, this week's Torah portion, we learn about how Moshe commanded the people of Israel to have a covenant renewal ceremony every 7 years during Sukkot. Deuteronomy 31, verse 12 shows us what's supposed to happen at the ceremony. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and thy stranger that is within thy gates, that they may hear and that they may learn, and fear HASHEM your God, and observe to do all the words of this law. This ceremony has implications for the second coming. At the end of every 7 years, during the Sabbatical year, the people of Israel came up to Jerusalem for Sukkot. Both the Sabbatical year and Sukkot have something in common with the Messianic Era. The Sabbatical year is the Shabbat on a bigger scale. Instead of 6 days and 1 day of rest, it's 6 years and 1 year of rest. Just as the Messianic Era is the Sabbatical year on a bigger scale. Instead of 6 years and 1 year of rest, it's 6,000 years and 1,000 years of rest. Shabbat is a tiny taste of the Messianic Era, and the same applies to the Sabbatical year. Sukkot has implications of the Messianic Era too. The 7 days of Sukkot happen in the 7th month of the year. Sukkot is to the other holy days what the Shabbat is to the other days of the week. Both Sukkot and Shabbat celebrate the event of creation and the time of peace that will come to the world. In Deuteronomy 31, verse 11, it says, when all Israel is come to appear before HASHEM thy God in the place which he shall choose, thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. There are 3 things we can remember from this verse. In the beginning of the verse, where it says, when all Israel is come to appear before HASHEM thy God, we learn that all Israel was commanded to come, even the stranger in the land of Israel. As it says in Deuteronomy 31, verse 12, assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and thy foreigner that is within thy gates, that they may hear and that they may learn, and fear HASHEM your God, and observe to do all the words of this law. The commandment that all the people of Israel and even the foreigners in the land were supposed to come together foreshadows what will happen in the Messianic Era, where all the nations of the earth will come to Jerusalem. According to Jewish history, there were 2 types of foreigners in Israel, the Ger Tzedek and the Ger Toshav. The Ger Tzedek is a righteous foreigner that makes a full conversion to Judaism and accepts the full covenant of Torah. These righteous converts would join with Israel in eating the Passover lamb and all other Jewish rites commanded to native-born Israelites. The other type of foreigner was the Ger Toshav, who had at the very least denounced idolatry and agreed to abide by the Noahide laws, similar to the decree for the early believers in Acts 15. Typically, if foreigners had any children, they would prefer full conversion so that their children could marry into the people of Israel. The Ger Toshav could just be there to live temporarily or would have to marry within their own people only while living in the land. In the middle of the verse, where it says, in the place where he shall choose, we remember that the place God chose and still chooses is Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. The early believers of Yeshua demonstrated their faith by assembling in the courts of the temple every day. In the Messianic Era, not only will Jerusalem be the spiritual center of the world, it will also be the geographical and political center, as it says in Isaiah 2, verse 3. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of HASHEM, to the house of the God of Yaakov, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion will go forth the Torah, and the word of HASHEM from Yerushalayim. The last thing we can remember from Deuteronomy 31, verse 11, is from the very end of it, where it says, thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. People in ancient Israel did not have access to the Torah, as there weren't printing machines or books back then. The remembrance of the Torah by the people of Israel was fully dependent on public readings of the Torah. According to Jewish lore, Ezra and the men of the Great Assembly instituted the method of reading today's weekly Torah portions. In the days of the apostles, the people of Israel also depended on the public Torah readings. A regular person did not own a Torah scroll at home, so he had to come to the synagogue to hear it. Yeshua made a point to go to these public readings, and Yeshua's followers also continued to put importance on the public readings of the Torah. In 1 Timothy 4, verse 13, it says, "Until I come, pay attention to the public reading of the Scriptures." The Greek word that the phrase public reading comes from is used in the book of Acts to specifically refer to the Torah reading in the synagogue on Shabbat. The public reading of the Torah in the synagogue echoes the public Torah reading that was commanded in Deuteronomy 31, verse 11. Jewish tradition talks about another interpretation of Deuteronomy 31, verse 11. Deuteronomy 31, verse 11 says, "Thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing." But the word thou appears in singular form. To whom is it speaking? The sages say that this commandment needs an individual who has the power to assemble the entire nation of Israel. And the only one who can do that is the king of Israel. Maimonides explained that those who listened to the king reading the Torah were supposed to act as though they were hearing it come from Mount Sinai. They were supposed to listen as though they'd heard it come from the Almighty, since the king is merely an emissary empowered to proclaim the words of the Lord. This alludes to the coming of the King Messiah, who will reign in Jerusalem. The rabbis imagined what it would be like to hear the Torah coming from the mouth of the Messiah. In the future, the Holy One, blessed be He, will sit in the Garden of Eden and expound the Torah, and all the righteous will sit before Him, and all the supernatural family will stand on its feet. On the right of the Holy One, blessed be He, will be the sun with the constellations, and on his left the moon and all the stars. And the Holy One, blessed be He, will expound the meanings of a new Torah, which He will give through the Messiah. Midrash Aleph Bet de Rabbi Akiva. Every time we read from the Torah, we experience a little taste of what it will be like in the Messianic Era, where everyone in the entire world will be eager to learn about the Torah. As it says in Isaiah 2, verse 3, "And many peoples shall go and say, Come ye, let us go up to the mountain of HASHEM, to the house of the God of Yaakov, and He will teach us of His ways, and we will walk in His paths. For out of Zion will go forth the Torah, and the word of HASHEM from Yerushalayim."